Still working on question 2 of free response 1 assignment, and we're on part D. So we're asked to suppose that country Y continues to experience high inflation in the long run. Indicate the effect of this inflation on the nominal interest rate in country Y. Well, easy enough. Let's go back to our table right here. And let's say that over time, the interest rate stays, or the rate of inflation, I should say, stays at 6%. Let's go back to the 6% over a long time. Well, this becomes the expected rate. Now it's no longer unexpected. It's no longer unanticipated, it's expected. So lenders expect a rate of inflation that's high, and they're going to want, so in this case right now, the lender is getting negative 1% interest, which is not good, right? They're actually paying somebody else to borrow money from them. That's not good. So in order for them to get some type of a real interest rate, they're going to want to raise nominal interest rate. So if these loans continue to go out and the rate of inflation continues to be 6%, well, the nominal rate is going to have to be something above that, right? Let's just say 7. So if the nominal rate jumps up to a 7, that's going to give a real interest rate of now a positive, right? A positive 1. So, and this is what lenders want. They want some kind of return on the money that they lend. So now the real value that they get paid back, this is going to be 107, right? But the real value with a 6% interest is going to be 101, right? So they're still making, even with the inflation, the rate of inflation high, if they raise the nominal rate above it, they're still going to get a real return of a bit more than they actually loaned out. So that's what's going to happen if this high rate of inflation becomes long term. It becomes the expected inflation. So loans are the rate of nominal interest rates on loans are set with the expected rate of inflation in mind. So they're going to obviously go higher. Okay. This is probably the most complicated part of this whole thing, and I have to admit I have a tendency to overthink all the moving parts here, as you've got capital inflows, capital outflows, net exports, imports, or exports, imports, net exports, which is the exports minus imports. You have the demand for dollars in the world, the demand for, so you got a lot of things going on here. So we're going to try to make this as simple as possible. If country-wise inflation is high relative to other countries, what's going to happen to the value of the country where the inflation is high? So let's just say that's the U.S. Let's just say that the inflation is high in the U.S. What does that do to the value of the dollar relative to other foreign currencies? And in this example, we're using the Japanese yen, I believe, in my example right here. So what's going to happen is the value of the dollar against the yen is actually going to go down. Why is that? Well, when we have inflation, that's going to mean that our goods cost Japan more to buy. Right? Because if, say, we're selling, not that we sell a whole lot of cars to Japan, but just say we do. Say we're selling cars to Japan, and a $20,000 car now costs $23,000 because of inflation in America. Well, the Japanese want to import this car. They've got to buy $23,000 now. They've got to exchange they've got to exchange yen for $23,000 instead of $20,000. So because of that, the Japanese are going to say, you know what, we can build our own cars. We don't need to buy your cars. So the demand for dollars in the world market is going to shift to the left. Because as our dollars become more expensive to the world, that means they're just not going to want them. The world's not going to want them, right? So That's going to cause our exports to go down, right? So the demand for U.S. exports, and you can just freeze the video, of course, and read all this, right? So we're going to get that shift, and we're also going to get a shift in the supply of money, because as the U.S., because of prices in U.S. being high, they're going to consume more foreign goods that are relatively cheaper. So we're going to actually import more, and that's going to shift the supply of dollars. We're going to be using dollars to exchange for yen to buy Japanese stuff because it's cheaper than our stuff is. So that's going to put more dollars into the foreign market, shift the supply of dollars to the right, which drives the price of dollars, or the relative value of dollars, in this case relative to the yen, down. So those two things are going to happen, and the consequence is the devaluation or the depreciation of the dollar relative to foreign currencies in the world. And so, or you can just call that the international value would go down, decrease. And that takes care of question 2. Easy enough, right? So when we come back on the next video, we will talk about question 3. Okay.